Hey everybody, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. You have reached the Modest Audiophile channel. My name is Mark and I'm in a little bit different setup today. We're going to discuss the Eversolo DMP-A6. Why I got it, did it solve any problems that I had, did it exceed any expectations, did it fall short on anything, how it compared to my existing DAC, which I have a Genalex Aries 2/Enyo DAC. If you stick around to the end, will this device actually save me money in the long run? So let's start with why I purchased this thing. We moved this past year in the summertime, and in my last house, my computer, which is right here, was less than 15 feet away from my DAC and my hi-fi system. Actually, just 15 feet. That's the maximum that you can get for a USB cable to serve audio, ones and zeros through. So in this house, it's just not going to work. I will say that Genalex Aries 2 DAC, R-to-R, resistor-to-resistor DAC, that thing was fantastic. It still is fantastic. That was my first foray into serious digital music. In the past, right, I would stream. My streaming really came to getting Amazon Music or something else on my cell phone, Bluetoothing it over to a JBL boombox, throwing on some Dead around a barbecue and starting to get my dance on. Really, or any other type, or a poker game, or any type of activity. That was really the extent of my streaming. So when I got that Aries, that Genalex DAC, it forced me to step up my my analog game, because at the time that Genalex the soundstage was better than my analog setup. It was more detailed. That's when I got the new Pro-Ject 2-box S2 Phono preamp, and everything's back to normal now in the way it should be, where I'm getting, dare I say that I do enjoy my analog stage more than I do my digital stage. But it's getting close, and we'll talk about that here. So that's why I needed a new solution. I didn't want to give up on the idea of all the high-res files that I'd purchased over the years. And frankly, I ripped all of my CDs over the years into FLAC files and put that on my computer as well. So now I could use the Eversolo as a media server. Other media servers, or I guess you call them media servers, other things that I was looking at the time for high-res files was a Sony. I was looking at a Sony device, and I'll put a picture up here, that was just so flipping expensive, and it was a one-trick pony, and I really didn't want to go down that path. Well, I went to all the sites, right? I went to all the sites that you probably frequent. I went to Cheap Audio Man, I went to Darko, I went to Audiophile, I went to a bunch of sites. I'm trying to find a solution, to my issues. Again, it really was wanting to maintain my investment in the high-res files that I already owned. I want it to look good. I want it to be as solid as I can. I didn't, I'm not poo-pooing anything in some of those other devices, but I wanted a true component, or as close as I can get to a true component. After some research, I saw that this thing had, it had meters, So yes, you'll see in a few minutes, I can put VU meters on there, and it's a great interface. Really, the thing that intrigued me most on this was being able to go out and purchase a 2 terabyte NVMe solid state drive right there. And I'll put how much I paid for this. I think it was like $170 or something like that. There's also, I'll put in the description, a video that literally shows you how you can install this drive in less than 5 minutes into the Eversolo. So that's what I did. Very much plug and play, very, very easy, and then I'm off and running. What I'll also try to show through the rest of this video is how I can, through Wi-Fi, transfer all of my files that are on my computer onto that solid state drive, which is sitting in the Eversolo. So maintaining my investment in the CDs that I'd ripped and all the high-res files that I purchased from HD Tracks or wherever. So that's all in one place now. So I'll show you how that process looks. I'll show you the ease of the interface. Now this screen is fantastic, and it's a 6-inch screen, and it's high def and all of that stuff, so it looks beautiful. But most importantly is, how can I surf it from my chair without having to get up? Well, there's an app for that. So I'll show you some of that, and then we'll discuss real quick, did this thing meet my criteria? Did it fulfill my needs? Did it leave me wanting for anything else? And will this thing actually save me money in the long run? Or will it be the bane of my existence? Maybe a little bit of both, and we'll get to that in a second. Before we go into how I show you how I use it with the remote on the cell phone and all of that, we'll go over a couple quick features that really caught my eye, okay? And this is one of the reasons, a couple of reasons why I purchased it. I wanted something that looked good. And this looks good. It does. It can't be, it's undeniable. It does look good. So that was checkbox 1. Okay, if you go onto their website, you'll see all the marketing materials. It had 2 DAC chips, and that was interesting. Now, the Genalex has a resistor to resistor, R to R topology, more of an older way of doing things. It does sound more analog-y, if that's a word. It sounded great, and it still does sound great. So, but this one had an architecture of 2 ES9038Q2M chips. I'm not going to go through all of the features and functionalities, but I will say it's got a great website. Just scroll through it, and you can pull out all the information that is important to you. But a couple of quick things: it will go up to DSD 512. It does have PCM up to 768 kilohertz, 32-bit. Does have MQA if anyone's doing that. It has a lot of native applications that you can utilize. I use Amazon Music for my high-res streaming, but you can use Tidal, Qobuz, high-res audio, Deezer, all of these other things. The rest of it, take a look online. It's got some really good information. In fact, I like the website a lot. So those are some of the features. Let's get into how it works in real world. Hopefully I can show this to you without it being overly complicated. Then we'll come back and we'll discuss how does it, apart from doing its job, how does it sound? All right, so there's 2 signal paths that I'm using. One, if I want to use the internal DAC in the Eversolo DMP-A6, then I have that going into my Rotel, and it's going in through the tuner analog RCA connections. If I want to run this into my other DAC, my Genalex Enyo DAC or Aries 2 DAC, depending on the branding, then I can run this out via USB into this, and then out this via RCA plugs, or connectors rather, into the auxiliary 2, which I would put right there, auxiliary 2. So I can test them both, and I'll show you how I do that on my cell phone control here in a second. All right, so we have the Eversolo turned on here. So I'm going to go scroll in to get my app. All right, now, right now I have it set so I'm going to use the internal DAC, and it's going out via, well, let's find out. So right now I'm going to be utilizing the internal DAC, and I'll show you what the source is here. Internal DAC on the upper left there, and I'm going through the analog RCA into my Rotel. For the Rotel, it's connected via the tuner RCA, all analog there. So that's what I have that set up. So say I wanted to go into my Genalex DAC, right? I would use this button here, and then on the Rotel remote I click it on to auxiliary 1, and then I'll be streaming via the Eversolo into the Genalex, and then the Genalex into the Rotel. But for right now, let's go back to analog RCA. Okay, and it tells you that the format or the parameters down here in the bottom, it goes all the way to PCM 32-bit, MQA, DSD 512, and the max sampling rate there. So this particular DAC can handle just about anything you throw at it, certainly more than I have. All right, so let's play something here. Obviously, you won't be able to hear it because I don't want to be shut down by YouTube. So let's go back here and say I want to stream something. Hit the streaming. I use Amazon Music, but you can see you got Tidal, Qobuz, TuneIn Radio, Deezer. Anyway, I use Amazon Music. And let's just say I wanted to put in Steely Dan. Okay, Steely Dan. Pull that up. Let's hit the albums. And let's just say that I was looking at Gaucho. All right. Now, I wish these right up front would tell you what the sampling rates were, if it's going to be 16-bit or if it's going to be 24-bit. So let's just hit play. Babylon Sisters comes up. Hit this down here, and it'll tell me, okay, so this is Ultra HD, right? 24-bit, 96 kilohertz. All right, cool. So we got that playing, and you see it up on the screen of the actual unit itself. Now, say I wanted to change, say I wanted to put some VU meters up there. All right, hit the VU meters, success. That's one of, I think, 3 or 4 different VU meters that I could use. That just happens to be probably my favorite, or what is available right now to me. All right, so let's get out of that, and let's just say I wanted to put up this, and that is one of 4 different versions of this I don't know, equalization. Pretty neat. So say I want to change, while I'm playing this, say I want to change the different varieties that I have of this. So what we'll do is we're going to back out here, back out. This is the only problem I have. I haven't figured out a way to get right back to the settings. Hit that, scroll down, and we're looking at the spectrum mode here. So as you can see, that is the one that's playing on the screen right now. Just say I wanted to go to black and white. Okay, go to black and white. So I can pick one, and then later on I can hit it on top of the song, which I'll show you in a second. But anyway, you got that one, this one here, this one here, this one here. Okay, the one that I typically utilize, I think, is this one here. So we'll leave that, back out, and let's go into the VU meters. So these are all the different VU meters that are available. As you can tell, I use the one on the top most often, but say we wanted to, well, let's do it this way. We'll back out again. Okay, I want to get over here. Let's click on VU meter. All right, now this is just so I can show you all of them at the same time. Scroll back down to VU meter. All right, so we've got that one. We can go to this one, which is pretty cool as well, and that one there. All right, so I'm going to put it back to the one I like most. Back out. You can also put a screensaver on here as well, timer on it. Right now it's set for 2 hours. I don't deploy the screensaver. Anyway, there's a ton of information in here. I really like the interface quite a bit. All right, let's back out again. Say I want to go into my files. All right, so this is the music that I have on the solid state, the 2 terabyte solid state drive that I purchased and put in. So we'll click that. Okay, now let's say I wanted to listen to 2112. Click on this, and then we'll play Overture. Pop that back up, and you see it's 24-bit 192. Now, if I want to turn the VU meter off and all of that stuff off, back out here. Well, if I have to, I can always hit this button here, right on the screen, hit that, and that comes back up. Hit that again, and then we have that. So I still have some stuff I have to work out, but again, I can certainly control it all from my phone. I just haven't figured that piece out to get back to the actual album art and all of the information on the same screen. We'll back out here. So that was coming out of my files. Yes, you can load very easily. You can connect this unit up via Wi-Fi to your computer, and you can load your high-res files on it. And I'll show that here in a few seconds. Anything else that I think is important here? Well, you can always hit the music button, and then this will just put your library. So for all of the stuff that I have in my files will also come up in the library. Let's turn this off for now, and we'll get on to how to load everything into the unit solid state drive from the computer. So I'll show you on this side how you can find out all that information looking at the screen. And you can do this directly with your cell phone as well, but for purposes right now, I'll just click on here. Click on the drop down menu. Alright, then we're going to want to go to transfer. And these are your two different methods in which you can connect this to your desktop, your laptop, whatever. I'm using method 2 on the right, and I'm using Windows. So you see the //10.0.0.190. So that's what I do. So then you can you do all of the file drag and drop, and then you can load it in here. So hopefully what you were able to see is on the transfer tab, section, whatever of the Eversolo display, it showcased the method 1 or method 2. I have a Windows machine, so we're going to use method 2, and I've already pulled that open. So let's see, move over to here. All right, so what you'll do is you'll open up your Explorer, double click on that. I've already pre-populated that, so let's click, double click on that. So you get a folder that comes out of the Eversolo. Double click on that. The top one here is the solid state drive that we discussed earlier, and that's where I load all my music onto. So double click on that, and this is all the music that I currently have sitting in that device. Because it's the season, I do not have the Charlie Brown Christmas loaded up on this yet, so that's what I'm going to do. So I've already done a search in my music files. Bring this over, so we'll do a little bit of drag and drop. Get this room here, move that there, move this here. Okay. So what I'm going to wind up doing literally is taking a Charlie Brown Christmas, drag and drop it, put it into here. Since these are high-res files, they're much, much larger than your typical MP3, and this is going to take some time. All right. So that is now in my Eversolo down here. So what I'm going to do is let's open up the app on the phone and show you inside of that how we can get to a Charlie Brown Christmas. All right, so we're back to here. We showed you how I went from doing the drag and drop on the Windows method 2 over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my phone app and see if we can find a Charlie Brown Christmas. So I've got that running now. Let's open up the Eversolo app. So now that I opened up my cell phone app here, let's click on the files, which is in the solid state drive. A Charlie Brown Christmas. Look at that. Click on here, and let's just press play. And there we go. So this may give you a bit of a hint onto what my next review may wind up being. I've owned this high-res version of this album for, I don't know, maybe about 5-6 years or so. And then last year, my daughter, one of my daughters, bought me this on vinyl. So, yeah, I'm going to do a compare-contrast between the vinyl copy, which I guess sounds pretty good, and this high-res 24-bit 192 kilohertz. Anyway, so back to the task at hand here. You can see it's very easy to drag and drop from your PC or any other device onto the Eversolo. Okay, let's get back to my final thoughts here. So hopefully what I was able to do there was to show you, how you can connect it to your computer via Wi-Fi, how you can transfer the files over there, how you can get into the menu system, pick from your source, right? We talked about utilizing the internal DAC onto this thing and serving it directly up to my integrated amp. We also discussed how I can still use USB out of the Eversolo into the Genalex and then back into the integrated amp. And then we showed meters, and all of that type of stuff. And yeah, that's cool. So, where does that leave us? Well, when I first started listening to this, I will say that I thought at the time, this utilizing my internal high-res files. So, for instance, I think I was utilizing, I think I had Zeppelin on there, maybe Zeppelin 2 or something. And it's a 24-bit 96 kilohertz file. I was running it through the Genalex, loved it. And then I popped it on to the internal DACs. And at first it was a little bit jarring. I'm not sure, I wasn't sure what I liked at the time. But I said, well, this is different. This was kind of more in my face. And so I went back to utilizing the Genalex DAC for a while. I said, okay, cool. That's the way it should be. I can do that. Because again, really, I just wanted to get this thing to serve up my files. So let me try to do a little bit of streaming. And I would go on, just like I showed you, I would go on to Amazon. I'd pull up, I don't know, I think I remember I pulled up an Oasis album. And I did the A-B in comparison between the internal A6 DAC and the Genalex. And I will say that streaming, and this is going back, right after I purchased it, so about 4 months ago, I thought streaming right out of the box pretty much was sounding better out of the Eversolo than it did through the Genalex. I made sure that I had matched volume and all of that. So I was getting same decibel levels, but it just sounded better. The streaming sounded better bypassing the Genalex altogether and just utilizing the twin chips in the internal DAC. Okay, so check there. That's pretty good. Over time, what I found out is that I would, not only did I get used to it, but I preferred the internal DAC to the Eversolo device as opposed to the Genalex Aries 2. So the more I used this thing and compared and A-B'd them, fast forward to 4 months from that, 4 months today, I enjoy the internal DAC better than I do the Genalex. Not to disparage the Genalex, it's awesome. It really is. Like I said, it made me up my analog game. But overall, the soundstage of the A6 is bigger, more immersive. Yeah, more immersive, more depth I'm getting out of the Eversolo. The thing that I noticed, the easiest to notice, was I was getting on average about another foot to 2 feet wider soundstage out of the Eversolo DAC as opposed to the Genalex. What am I going to do with that Genalex? Up until about a week or so ago, I thought I'd still keep it for whatever purposes. I don't need it. I think I spent the same amount on the Genalex as I did on the Eversolo. And with the Eversolo, I'm getting a streamer, I'm getting a file server, I'm getting a great DAC, I'm getting meters and gauges and crap to play with. So yeah, I've fallen for the Eversolo DMP-A6. I really like it. In fact, try to get this picture here. I was listening to something last night. So even last night I was blown away. Last night was typically when I listen to my, well, let me back up. So generally speaking, I do prefer the listening to records, analog over digital. It's a ritual, right? It's tangible. You pick up that piece of vinyl, you take it out of the sleeve, you put it down. It's a ritual. So, and you have to listen to the whole thing all at once. We've talked about that before. So I like that. But say I got 2 hours to listen to music. I can get maybe 2 records, and then I still got a little bit of time left over. So if I got, half hour, 20 minutes, that's when I'll play with the digital stuff. Or if I'm out there trying to look at an album that I haven't heard before, I'll do that. We'll get more of that in a second. Anyway, last night I had some extra time before dinner was ready. So I popped on the Cars album. I think it was the first Cars album. Put a picture here. And I've been debating whether or not I want to go buy that on vinyl. I mean, Cars, right? It's one of the, for a Gen Xer, they were part of the soundtrack of our lives. And I forgot, frankly, how much I loved the Cars. So I pop it on and I was blown away. I was listening to vinyl earlier, but then again, so I have a soundstage in my head, which is fantastic. And then I put on the digital stuff, and at least on this record, nothing was taken away. This thing sounded so good. It was, I think it was 24, they were all 24-bit, but I think it was 24-bit, maybe 96 or 192, I'm not sure. But anyway, the soundstage was blowing me away, and that's when I went, wow, it got dark in here, huh? New Hampshire, man. So, like I was saying, yeah, that Cars album sounded absolutely fantastic and made me even happier about the purchase that I made, 4 months ago. It solved the problem. Yes, I could serve up my own high-res files. Check, got that done. It got me into streaming. Check, and it sounds really, really good. Check, check. It looks fantastic, and at least to my eyes, it's subjective, but I think it looks great. It looks good in the rack too, and especially when you turn down all the lights and you get the meters and you get the gauges and all that type of stuff. Yeah, very superficial, I know, but it looks great. So where does that bring me to the final conclusion when I said, will this thing save me money or will it be at the bane of my existence? Well, yes, it'll save me money because I don't think I'm going to purchase any more high-res files. Why? Because if I really like an album, well, say I want to go check an album out, and say it's a new release or something like that, I will bring it up on the streamer first, listen to it, high-res, 24-bit, 96, 192, whatever I can get off of Amazon, and get something really, really close to what maybe the album will sound like. Obviously, it's a different platform, you're going analog stage and all of that, so it'll sound different, but at least it's a place to start. Do I want to invest, or I go back to an album that I maybe listened to, 20, 30 years ago, and I'm considering it getting on vinyl again? Let me stream it. Is it worth? Is there enough songs on here? Is it a soundstage and imaging monster that I really want to double down on and get it in vinyl? So I'm utilizing the streamer for that. So I don't have to go out and buy any more high-res music. Either I'm going to buy the album because I like the stream so much, or I'm going to say, you know what, the stream's good enough. So I don't have to go buy any more high-res files. So that's saving me money, definitely. But bane of my existence? Is it pushing me to buy more vinyl? Maybe. I can certainly see that. Again, that Cars album, I got to get it on vinyl. This thing sounds way, way too good on the stream. And I love the album. I love all the songs on the album. So it's definitely something that if I bought vinyl, I would listen to time and time again. It wouldn't just be a one-shot deal. Unlike yesterday, I did check out. I wasn't a huge Cure fan growing up. I mean, I had friends of mine that loved the Cure. It just wasn't my swim lane. I tried. Yesterday I tried. I tried to pull up their new album. The name escapes me, but I'll put a picture of it here. Did I give it a fair shot? I tried. I really did. It sounded good when I streamed it. It was a nice wide sound stage, but it wasn't enough. The sound stage and imaging wasn't enough for me to go, oh, I gotta buy this. So I immediately checked that off my box. Sorry, Cure fan. The new album's just not my thing, so I don't have to purchase that. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have this device. So that's cool. So all in all, yeah, let's wrap this thing up. It solved the problem. It looks good, and I'm really enjoying using it. I'll sit back in this chair right behind me, get between my speakers, and for what this thing is, I'm having a lot of fun. Like I mentioned earlier, I think they were both around $700. I think between $700 and $750. So the Denafrips I'm going to pack up, and I'm going to sell that and hopefully use that money to what? To upgrade my turntable, I think. Still in a modest way. I'm not going out and spending $5,000 on a turntable. I wish I could. Got kids in college. But I'll use that, if I can get $500 for it, great. I'll put that towards something else. So All in all, I am very, very happy with this Eversolo DMP-A6. It solved a lot of problems for me, and hopefully this video was a little bit educational and how easy it is to use. It's not that hard at all. So that's it, everybody. I hope it was beneficial for you. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.